Recreation Inspiration is hosted by 6 kids and a glue gun and Crafty Art Shack with the co-host Grace's Neighbor. These women have awesome DIY channels and are so sweet and kind. You must check them out. Their link to their channels is listed in the description box below. Other DIYers have taken the time to join in this spring recreation inspiration. This DIY is to uplift other women who have YouTube channels. The link to the playlist is listed in the description box below. So let's get started. Today I have 3 DIYs that are inspired by Live Oak Nest. She has some quick and easy spring DIYs that I am sure you will enjoy. She has a lovely channel, so go over and see what she is doing. The weather is nice today, and it feels like spring is on the way. I got my fingers crossed. So DIY number 1, a spring envelope. The supplies needed include acrylic paint, a metal envelope, Dollar Tree wooden eggs, moss, feather, flowers, stencil, hot glue, ribbon, a picture frame, and chalk couture paint. The first thing you're going to do is paint the pocket envelope moss green and make sure it is dry. Now, the moss green was also mixed with white and gray to give it a lighter look versus a Christmas green. I had to put 2 coats on the envelope because it was galvanized. I used a Dollar Tree stencil that had various butterflies on it. I chose 1 butterfly and I took some white chalk paint and stippled onto the envelope. I added some Mod Podge to seal the chalk paint and added some green moss inside the envelope. And then I had 3 wooden eggs. They were very small from Dollar Tree, and I painted them with buttermilk. And I had some green paint on my brush, so the eggs have sort of a tinge of green. And then I flicked some black paint with a toothbrush to make the eggs look speckled. Lastly, I added a tiny feather and some dried flowers. Now you can hang it in a frame with a ribbon or hang it on the doorknob in your home because the top of this envelope has an opening. And I just threaded some gray organza ribbon and then I made a little bow and hot glued that onto the envelope. It looks so good in the frame, but it also looks good on the doorknob in my home. Now, since I have seen a few robins around my neighborhood, I am hoping that spring is on the way. So the next DIY is a spring flower pot. The supplies needed include a terracotta flower pot, some Mod Podge, acrylic chalk paint in gray, and chalk couture stencil, and some dried flowers and some moss rocks. What I did, I put a coat of gray on the small flower pot that I got free. I was at Michael's about 3 years ago and started to DIY. The vase turned out to be interesting looking, or as my granddaughter said, it was a hot mess. So I am going to make something that is a little bit more pleasing to the eye. After the paint is dry, then I dry brush some white chalk paint. Now, I think I was a little heavy on the white, but that's okay because you can paint over it again. But you must make sure that your paintbrush is not wet. You got to make sure it is dry, and I think mine was a little bit too wet, and that's why I got a little heavy in some areas. But it's okay, it looks fine. Then I added a stencil using chalk couture, and when I peeled it away, it took off some of the paint, and it was awful. And the reason why I did not remove some of the stickiness of the stencil, and that's why I took the paint off. However, it was no problem because I simply painted over the mistake and turned the pot around and used the stencil on the other side after I had taken some of the stickiness off. Then I added some Mod Podge to seal the colors in. I will put my full topiary inside and call it a day. It looks so nice. The inspiration pot was a lot larger than mine, but even in a smaller version, it looks nice. And DIY number 3, dried flower pitcher. And the supplies needed include a Dollar Tree glass frame, various dried flowers, and a little Mod Podge. And that's all it takes. I had this picture frame for about 2 to 3 years, and I finally decided to put something inside and display it in my office. I went to my stash and I took some dried hydrangeas and some other dried flowers that I had received from a friend. I removed one of the glass pieces and carefully arranged the flowers with Mod Podge to give it a spring-like vibe. And this is how it turned out. I put it in my office and it's beginning to look a lot like spring. Oh, Z9 Design family, I appreciate you watching my channel. Every comment is special and I respond to them, and I would like to thank you. So be sure to subscribe, like, save, and comment. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And tomorrow is a special collaboration with me as a host, Z9 Designs, and Ray at One Way Designs 238. You will not want to miss this. We're highlighting Afrocentric DIYs for crafters. So, remember, I have decided to stick to love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And this is from Martin Luther King Jr. See you later. Bye-bye.